Thank you, Dr. Surendra Kumar. It's my pleasure. Uh, what I am going to do is, since we have many the students and other participants who are not aware about the development in Sri Lanka, I have made my presentation in a way. I'll just give an overview of Sri Lanka and why this election is important, which I highlighted in the introduction. Two, I will give the perception about what happened in North and East during this election, how they fared well in the election, and what are the or takeaway from the election in the Northeast. And third, what is the new government means for the minorities, Tamil, Muslims, and in the Tamil sense, Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils. So this is the, and I'll try to cover all this thing within 10 to 12 minutes so that we can have more time. To give a perspective on Sri Lanka for the general audience who are here in the list, I can see the Sri Lanka last 5 years had a government under the President Sirisena, who was a breakaway or person who was with the Mahinda Rajapaksa during the earlier regime, then came out and contested the election with the support of the opposition party. Opposition party is the United Nations Party, UNP. So in a way that the president beat from BJP contesting and winning with the support of Congress in the Indian context, something like that. And this was there for 5 years. And unfortunately, the expectation was very much within the country as well as the outside that the new government with the new alignment will take up all the bending issues, all the issues that have contributed for the conflict, the issue that contributed for the friction in the society. So there was the expectation. But unfortunately, both the President Sirisena and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe could not move further. And because of this problem, the country, when it was locked and they're not able to move further, there are many other issues suddenly came out. And one of the feeling among the Sri Lankan, especially the Sinhalese who are the majoritarian, the Sri Lanka, if you see the ethnic composition, the Sinhalese are the 74% and the Tamils are 12%, and 12% which is in the north and east, and then we have the Indian Tamils which are 6%. This is the data which I think comes from the 1981 or 83 census, but our it may be changed today. So the Tamils 18% and the Sri Lankans, the Sinhalese are almost 70%, and we have a Muslims, a considerable number, the chunk of person in the eastern province, in the Ambara and particular in the Sri Lanka. So with this ethnic composition, when the last regime, the government could not handle it, there was a what you call perception that we need a strong leadership. And during this contact, the time, and unfortunately, Sri Lanka witnessed a terror attack on the churches, which they have said the Sri Lankan, some of the Sri Lankan Muslim fundamental elements were behind these attacks. And this gives a further notion to the majority community that we have now eliminated the Tamil, the LTT, but now we have a new threat to our country. So we need a strong leadership, and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe government cannot do it. So in that context, the Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is the brother of Mahinda Rajapaksa, former Prime Minister, and he was earlier a defense secretary, won the election and came. And this mood swing has kept the moment, and due to that, when the Mahinda Rajapaksa contested election, he won the election under the alliance system called the Sri Lankan People's Freedom Alliance, and they have won 145 seats out of 225 seats in Sri Lankan Parliament. And they have, like we have a constituency, they call it the electoral districts in Sri Lanka. So they have captured 18 electoral districts in Sri Lanka with a 60% of vote. But if you see the opposition, the United Nations Party, that is UNP, was not able to perform. And what happened is that there is a friction within the party. It is the senior Ranil Wickremesinghe versus the second level leader Sajid Premadasa. The Sajid Premadasa was the son of the former Prime Minister, who was in the 90s and killed by the LTT. So he wants to come out because the leadership, Ranil Wickremesinghe government was not confident that or the party was not confident the youngsters were not confident in the leadership, so they want a change in the leadership, but the old guards were not giving away. So in this context, Sajid Premadasa came and formed an alliance called Samagi Jana Balavage, SJB, and they won around 54 seats. So they are the main opposition party today. But if you see the constituents of the constituent of the alliance system, you can see that Tamils and Muslims, some of the parties have part of this, whether with the Rajapaksa or with the Sajid Premadasa's opposition party. For example, Ceylon Workers Congress, which is the Indian Tamil, the party in the Kandy Nurelia region, were along with the Rajapaksa alliance. Elam People's Democratic Party, if you call EPDP, which is Douglas Devananda, from the Jaffna, he was with the Mahinda Rajapaksa. Then Mutpoku Tamilar Kachi and Tamil Makkal Vidalai Puligal. This is the breakaway again. The Tamil Makkal Vidalai Puligal is a breakaway from the LTT. When the Prabhakaran was the leader of the LTT, Karunas or Muralidharan, what we call, was the second in our leader. He broke away, came and supported the government, and after giving away the arms, he converted into a political party and political leader. And he contested, his party contested in the eastern provinces. If you see the Sri Lanka, if this is the north, eastern is this side, and down all the singular dominated areas, from the Vavonia till Matra, it's all the Sinhalese, with because of 74% of the populations of that. And if you see the opposition side, led by the Sajid Premadasa side, we have Sri Lankan Muslim Congress, Tamil Progressive Alliance, which is having 3 parties within that. Democratic People Front of Mano Ganeshan, Upcountry the People's Front of Velusamy Radhakrishnan, Mr. Chandrasekhar. These are the Indian Tamils again. National Union of Workers Palani Digambaram, All Ceylon Makkal Congress of Rifat, the Bahiduddin, which is also from the Sri Lankan, the Muslims from the eastern side. So if you see the composition, it is not only the singular party has won. The singular party had a successive loose correlation with the minorities in the Sri Lanka. You have to understand the fact that Tamils in Sri Lanka are not monopoly or monoethnic group, one single group. The Sri Lankan Tamils, who are generally in the north, Jaffna region, are the one claimed that they went 2000 years before from Sri Lanka to India. They are the what you call contesting along with the Sinhalese to claim that they are the Sinhalese. But if you see the Indian Tamil or plantation Tamil, they are the one who went during the British time as a plantation or tea workers or laborers. Just 200 years before, 100 years before, you can 200 years to roughly. So these people stay in the hill station, what you have today in Nilgiris or Ooty, what we call like Kandy, Nurelia. They work in the tea estates. So if you see the demands, see the what you call the 2 groups of Tamils in Sri Lanka, their needs are different. The Indian Tamils who went as a labor during the British period, they are fighting for the livelihoods. What they want is basic needs, a good shelter, housing, or education for the children, good wages for them, and what you call the environment where they are having a hut within the plantation area. Now they have better housing today. So their need is different from the Sri Lankan Tamils. The Sri Lankan Tamils have a better position compared to Indian Tamils. So their demand is to have more political devolution or autonomy to rule themselves. And in the extreme level, they have claimed a Tamil Elam, a separate land for them. 70s to 80s and 90s till 2009, when the LTT was eliminated by the Sri Lankan government successfully. You see the need of the Sri Lankan Tamil is different from the Indian Tamil. And the other minority groups, which is 5 to 6, the 3 to 5% the Sri Lankan Muslims, who are basically traders. They speak Tamil as well as Sinhala. The Tamils speak only the Tamils. Sinhalese speak only Sinhalese. Though some of them in the urban centers like Colombo, Kandy places can speak both, but predominantly they only speak, these are their own languages, but the Muslims speak both the language, and they are the traders. As a traders, their commercial interest gave them to align with the party. So what they do is generally they align with the majority party which comes to power, or the even with the opposition party, even if they're aligning with them, they always have a good relation with others. So the needs of the minority within Sri Lanka are different, whether it's Indian Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils, and Muslims. So this election, what it shows is that these minority groups have divided. Instead of being together, they have divided. They have some of them aligned with the Rajapaksa's, the alliance in the coalition. Some of them aligned with the Sajid Premadasa's the coalition. So it clearly shows there is a division. And if we come to the north and east, particularly for another 2 to 3 minutes, what it shows, the verdict shows is that today there is a change in the north and east. Why there's a change? The 30% of the electoral who voted this time, or 30% are youth who voted the first time in the Sri Lankan election. These youth are fed up with the old gods, what we call the Tamil National Alliance, Sambandham, or it's like a old party which has been asking for a devolution and this, that, all, so for federalism, autonomy. So today, the young generation who contested, who voted, saw these leaders are ineffective. If you see in 1970s, why LTT came to existence, came to surface is because the Tamil Unitary Liberation from the old party or the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi, ITAK of the Selvanayagam, were believed in Gandhian way or non-violence, believed in coexistence with the Sinhalese. What they want is a devolution. What they want is a recognition of the Tamil identity, recognition of Tamil language. When they are not able to successfully demand and get the Sri Lankan government to agree to their demands, the youth frustrated and took arms. That's how the LTT came. And today, if you see the comparison, the today's youth in the north and east are fed up with the TNA, the old party, and they're saying that it is not moving. They themselves are not having an understanding. There's a friction within the party. Why we need to vote for the old ones? Let us vote for. So what happened? The vote was divided. The vote was divided with the TNA, the Tamil National Alliance. The breakaway of the TNA came out along with the Suresh Premachandra and the former chief minister of the North, Jaffna. It's like a Tamil Nadu, a small province, or the Karnataka. The chief minister was Vigneshwaran. They all came out from the Tamil National Alliance, TNA, and they formed a breakaway group. And this breakaway group contested, and they have lost badly. The TNA also, TNA, or the Tamil National Alliance, the party, had 16 seats in the last election, but this time they have 9. So they lost 6. As well as if you see the polling, the percentage, they have considerably lost around 10 to 15%. Today they have only 9, the electoral district elected members, and 1 nationalist. Along with the percentage, they'll get 1%. They can nominate it for the nationalist as a what you call today in the Rajya Sabha. You can nominate like that. So this clearly shows there is a division among the Tamils, and the difference is obvious because the one group talks about the what do you call, we need to have our own group, the Tamil National Alliance or Tamil identity, talk to the government, get what they want. The other group says that, the youngsters says that today what is important is that it is better to align with the strong leadership. If someone can do something good to the minorities in Sri Lanka, it can be only Mahinda Rajapaksa, because they believe that Ranil Wickremesinghe or the former government cannot do anything. Instead of going against the Mahinda Rajapaksa government or anything, simply saying that the Sinhalese are this, that, all, why don't we align with them? Why don't we negotiate with them? Why don't we make them to understand? So that is the understanding they have. And within the Rajapaksa, we have 2. One is President Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Second is Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda is a senior, the elder brother. The Gotabaya is the younger one. Mahinda is known for 20 to 30 years of political life. Gotabaya lived in USA, America, came back. He was made as a defense secretary. But within the Gotabaya, within the Rajapaksas, if you see interestingly, the minorities, the Tamils and Muslims view the Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is the president, who was lived in USA, came back and became a president now. They believe since he lived in the United States of America, they consider him, he may be understandable about the pluralism. A society, plural society. He can understand about the freedom of expression. He can understand the coexistence. He can understand the need of living peaceful. Mahinda is a politician. He's not a politician. So they have more hope on the president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So that's the reason why the Tamil votes have gone to both the sides. In the Sri Lankan, the Rajapaksa group also got some of the seats in the east. The opposition party of Sajid Premadesa also got some of the seats from the northeast of the Tamil hotland. And within this, if you see the former the party, Sri Lankan, the Freedom Party, the Sri Lankan Freedom Party, SLP, by the Chandrika Kumartunga earlier, in the last 40 years, they never won. First time, a person contested under the Chandrika's party and won in Jaffna. And interestingly, he got more number of votes than even TNA, the traditional Tamil party. He got 37,000. The second who came is the Sridharan of the Tamil National Alliance got somewhere around 25. So 30 to 10,000 votes different. And this is not at all expected. And this is an amazing thing to show that the National Party has a presence today in the Tamil area, Tamil constituency. This shows there's a change. And if come back to the Eastern province, if you see, the TNA has lost 2 seats, but the Sajid Premadasa opposition party, who aligned with the smaller parties, have won. But one important interesting thing in the Eastern province in Sri Lanka is that the Muslims traditionally wins. If you see the Karnataka or the Tamil Nadu, like, there are 3 important electoral districts, a constituency. One is Trincomalee, another one is Bettikulu, down is Ambara. Ambara is a traditionally Muslim stronghold, and Bettikulu is a Tamil stronghold. Trincomalee has a mixed population, 30% of Sinhalese, 30% of Tamil, 30% of Muslim. It's like a more mixed proportion. So in Trincomalee, the Karuna break away from the LTT won, and Bettikulu, his deputy, Pillayan, what we call Chandrasekhara, the Sivadurai Chandrasekhara and Chandrakanthan, alias Pillayan, have won. He was a chief minister in the Rajapaksas earlier after coming out of LTT. He is in prison, but still he won the election, but TNA could not win. Why Pillayan won? Why TNA lost? Because Pillayan, when he was a chief minister, he was a government, we can say a puppet of government or supporter of government. He aligned with government, whatever we can call. With the support of government, he has done some development. So they see what the today population is saying, they need development. Pillayan, who's even the breakaway with aligned with the government, but he has done some development. TNA could not do it. So TNA was not able to accelerate the development. Why we need to have their representation? We need a development, education, infrastructure, this other thing. And the Sri Lankan Muslims, if you see, the interesting point is that before ending in a minute, I will just 2 minutes. If you see the Rajapaksas Alliance, Coalition Island, they have a smaller parties of Muslims, Sri Lankan Muslim and Sri Lankan, the Tamils or the Indian Tamil. But if you see only the Rajapaksas political parties candidate list, the Sri Lanka, what you call the Rajapaksas political party is called Sri Lanka Bodhajana Perumana. Not even single Muslim candidate was being put or made to contest in the election. It's only the Indian Tamils, the some of the Sri Lankan Muslim, and then all Sinhalese. Why not even a single Muslim candidate? It also shows that today, inherently, unconsciously, today the Sri Lankan majority, including those who are in regime today, are seeing Sri Lankan Muslims are the new threat to the Sri Lanka's unity. And they believe that with the pan-Islamic movement from the Middle East to Indonesia, the Muslims can be a formidable challenge to the Sri Lanka. LTT Tamils, they have dislodged, so they're a little bit worried, but not much. Today, the worry is about the Muslim or fundamentalism or the terrorism. That's what the thinking among the Sinhalese. So you can see that not even single. So the fear within the Sri Lankan Muslim is that how this government will go ahead, what type of problem they will face. They are the traders, commercial interests, as I said. They want to coexist with everyone. So they are having negotiation. They want to win. Not all the Muslims are, if you see, even after the terror attack, still now the government could not say that who are behind these attacks, who funded it, for what is the motive. There are many theories there. I'm not going into it. So it shows that there's a division within the Sri Lankan Muslims too. There's an inequality among the Indian Tamils. There's inequality among the minorities. So each one wants their own thing to make the government to implement. Now coming to the last segment, within a minute I'll end. What is the new government means for Sri Lanka? The new government means for Sri Lanka is different thing. As I said, some want development. That's why they align with the Sri Lankan the regime today. But there is a major fear. What is the major fear? One, if you see the Indian model, the Narendra Modi government has taken away the rights given to the Jammu and Kashmir. What we did today is that Jammu and Kashmir became a united territory. Ladakh was separated, Jammu was separated from Kashmir. So the Sri Lankan government apparently is thinking the same model to implement in this north and east, the Jaffna Peninsula and the east. So what they do is they will take away the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment is the one during the 1989 or 90 when the IPK went subsequently, this was brought, which gives a devolution power to the northern east, two states like Jammu and Kashmir, a special power. According to this, the state government will have a police power and police to man their own police and then authority to govern it. Two, the land power to control the land. But the Sri Lankan government has not, successive government has not given, fearing that if you give the land power and police power, the Sinhalese will have a trouble in that area. So they have not implemented. Today, the question is what the Tamils are fearing, including even supporting the government, is that completely they're going, as what Jennifer also mentioned, instead of devolution, they want development. But the question is, development for whom? Is it for the Tamils? Is it for the Sinhalese? So development for whom? That is the question comes into the mind. So there can be a Ladakh model coming into a Jammu and Kashmir coming into the Sri Lanka's north and east. Two, as I said, the 13th Amendment may not see the light. It will be scrapped. And again, the third thing is 19th Amendment, which gave power to the executive, which talked about the dilution of many powers of presidency, executive presidency, and gives the power to the commissions like Election Commission. So they are going to scrap it in a way that president is again going to be a strong who controls everything. Fourth point is India factor. I'm not going to touch, Samatha can do it. Today, the Tamils who always consider India as a supporter, whether they are doing good or bad, but today what they are doing is that thinking is that the India may not play much role in Sri Lanka in future with the Rajapaksa coming to power. And the last point before ending is that the hope is that if the Sri Lankan government is not going to come again with the ghost, LTT ghost, LTT is a threat, LTT can emerge from Tamil Nadu, diaspora can form again another group. This notion or the understanding of the Sri Lankan government, if it's going to change, the LTT ghost, if it's going to go away, the diaspora is going to go away from the mindset of the Sinhalese and the regime, then the Tamils can get some benefit. And the Indian Tamils, in the plantation Tamils, only want a basic necessity, livelihood. And in 50 years, I'm not understand why even that is not been fulfilled. Though the livelihood and the lifestyle of the plantation workers have increased, but still the education is not being there. Much what they sought, and the higher educations they're not able to enter into it. So these are the things I think the government has to focus. The last point for the Sri Lankan Muslim is, as we say in other contexts, not all the Muslims are terrorists. So the government should not think, whether it's any government, even the should not think that the Sri Lankan Muslims as a whole who can bring a threat to the government. There can be some elements in all the communities, all the societies. So they need to identify, can eliminate through the military means or the police force. But generally, they need to keep the interest of the minority. If they can bring the minority into the fold, I think the government can survive. The Sri Lanka will have a wonderful future with the development. And today the economic is down because Sri Lanka depends on tourism and export of tea and fishery. With the COVID, it has been impacted. So there is, I think, 67% of debt is there for Sri Lankan government. The China factor comes into this, Indian factor, which I'm not touching. I think Samatha will do it. Thank you very much. If there's anything, I will take it later.